Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, wonderful. Um, hello everyone, and good afternoon. Welcome to our virtual information session for the Assistant Director, Department of Aging and Adult Services Recruitment. My name is Kendra Conrad, and I am from the Executive Services team at the County of Santa Clara. I am a senior HR analyst who is currently assigned this recruitment, and also helping me co moderate this session is my colleague, Adrian Kudal. Adrian, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, Adrian Kudal. I'm also a senior HR analyst of the Exec Services team and will be assisting Kendra co-moderate this info session.
Right, thank you. So, the purpose of this session is to give you, our prospective candidates, a chance to learn more about the position and help you decide if this is a role that is right for you. Joining us today to help us take a deeper dive is our hiring authority, the Director of Aging and Adult Services, Vanessa Merlano. Vanessa, would you like to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you to all of those on the call that took their either lunch hour or if you're on some other time zone, time out of their day to participate in this. My name is Vanessa Merlano Sidauer, and I'm the Director of the Department of Aging and Adult Services. I've been in this role for a little bit over a year, but have been working in Santa Clara County through progressively advanced roles for the last 16 years, and am very excited for the opportunity to have an assistant director role within the department, a first ever for us. So thank you, Kendra and
Mhm.
Adrian.
Yeah, thank you. So, for today's session, we will take an in depth look at what this role involves and how it impacts the community. We will also discuss what success looks like for leaders in this space, along with some of the key responsibilities of the role and the essential knowledge and experience that's required. We have received many great questions from our audience, so thank you for that. And we've done our best to weave those questions and answers throughout this discussion. If you have any additional topics or questions that we may have missed, excuse me, go ahead and use our chat box. It is active for this session for folks to ask additional questions if they have any, and we will do our best to address those as well. With that being said, go ahead and get started. Vanessa, can you please speak about the purpose and function of the assistant director role and how this position is going to support your department's overall mission in the County of Santa Clara?
Thank you for the question, Kendra. As I had mentioned just before, the assistant director role in the aging and adult services department within the social services agency will play a pivotal role in how we fulfill our mission here in Santa Clara County. The social services agency in Santa Clara County is one of the largest social services agencies across Santa Clara County. And as such, our department plays a pivotal role in protecting, empowering, and supporting older adults and adults with disabilities so that they can live safely, with dignity, and as independently as possible. And the fact that this work touches some of the most vulnerable members of our community, a strong and grounded leadership is really essential for this role. This director is going to play a key strategic partner with me to help steward both the operational programmatic components of this newly established Bureau of Protective Services, but we'll also focus on a person-centered approach to leading the department. This role has specific oversight, as I mentioned, over the Protective Services Bureau, which will include two core critical programs to the Department of Aging and Adult Services that would include Adult Protective Services and the Public Administrator, the Public Guardian, and the Public Conservator's Office. And this role would be pivotal in ensuring that those services are responsive, consistent, in alignment with compliance, and with regulations, and that those services deeply align with our values. And more broadly, I'd say that the assistant director is really going to be instrumental in translating the vision that I have for this department into day-to-day operations and supporting the broader leadership team to carry out that vision. They're going to play a critical role in strengthening communication across the divisions of DOS. And I think that it's important to note that this person, this individual would be reflective of myself, my leadership, and would represent me in a variety of community roles and potentially even roles within the county itself.
All right. Thank you, Vanessa. Um, can you please walk us through where this role sits within the department structure and speak a bit about things like caseload expectations across programs, as well as how the assistant director partners with county council and the fiscal team?
Thank you, Kendra. We will, subsequent to this meeting, make a organizational chart available to the participants of this webinar. I think that probably makes the most sense since the one that's publicly available doesn't allow for there to be the level of detail that I think would help the candidates move forward in this application process. So Adrienne will do that as a follow-up. DOS is made up of 5 core programs. They include Adult Protective Services, like I mentioned, the Public Administrator Guardian, and Public Conservator's Office. It also includes the In-Home Supportive Services Program, the Senior Nutrition Program, and the Seniors Agenda. And we currently have around 356 across 356 staff across the entire department. The assistant director will provide direct oversight over the Protective Services Bureau, like I've mentioned, which will include two programs within DOS. And the individuals that would be reporting up to this assistant director would be the senior managers within those 2 respective programs. Those titles are respectively social services program manager 3 roles. And so those would be the ones that would be replying up to this position. In terms of caseload, they vary by program. Adult Protective Services follows a caseload standard that is negotiated through contract negotiations with labor. While the public administrator, and I'm going to go ahead and just shorten that for the rest of this webinar to PAGC, PAGC programs operate differently and currently do not have a caseload cap in the same way that APS operates. I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison, but I think that that's the best way that I could summarize it for the purposes of this webinar. And finally, I just highlight that our partnership with County Council and our fiscal teams are absolutely core to our success. I do require for us and our assistant director to have an understanding of the programmatic budgetary standings, to understand where that is on a quarterly basis so that we can make informed decisions to be more efficient or to ensure that we're using our budget to the maximum of its capacity. So, with that said, this role relies heavily on those collaborations so that we ensure that we're providing both legally sound and financially responsible and client-centered services.
Great. Thank you so much. All right. What is one thing you wish more candidates understood about this work? And please describe the moment that DOS is in as a department in general.
Yeah, if I just would say that I think this is a really exciting time to be in aging services. The California Department of Aging has done an incredible job to map and guide how counties can better meet the needs of community. And I think it's really important for the candidates to understand that the landscape of aging, like I said, is changing quickly, and with those demographic shifts, with the needs and the expectations shifting, I think it's a really exciting place to be in aging services because the department's evolving, and this department head will have the opportunity to guide, to architect, to be able to improve upon existing operations so that we can continue to meet those evolving demands and the needs. I think that a really exciting, I think that where Santa Clara County particularly places itself as an exciting place to be in aging services, that we have a county that has a robust amount of services that we provide directly through our health system. And I really see a world in which we build community services with that health system. And we're on our way there. And this candidate has the potential to build that alongside with me.
Certainly sounds like an exciting time, that's for sure. So, one more question from me, and then I will be handing it over to Adrian to ask some questions. Vanessa, what would you say is the biggest challenge for this role right now, especially given some of the organizational changes that are underway?
I think one of the biggest challenges, and I will say it's a huge opportunity as well, because anytime you see a challenge, I think it needs to be seen as an opportunity. And that is that we're bringing together two core programs within DOS that have independent, sort of some non-parallel mandates. Right? We're talking about APS, Adult Protective Services, and PAGC, and we're looking to combine not the programs and the way that they work independently, but certainly combine the way that we theoretically look at the way that we coordinate our operations to heighten the level of services that we provide for community. So we're working to create that bureau, and the person that's in this role has the opportunity to strengthen the coordination and really build greater synergies across both of those programs without compromising the integrity or the independence of either one of those mandates. And that's going to be very nuanced. And very unique, but I think a really exciting both challenge and opportunity. It's going to mean really looking at developing shared approaches where it makes sense, improving communications across these teams where we can, and hopefully in all avenues, and creating some more seamless connections for our clients between APS and PAGC services. Um, so I really see that as a significant opportunity and significant enhancement for our department. That will be a challenge for the incumbent.
Right. Okay. Jumping now to like what success means or looks like for this role. So, Vanessa, can you also highlight key responsibilities and specify the departmental goals that the successful individual needs to achieve within the next 6 to 12 months and in the long term?
Big picture, I think more immediately, this Protective Services Bureau is top of mind, and this incumbent needs to ensure that the programs are aligned, coordinating, and delivering high quality services to the maximal amount of compliance that we can. But in terms of what this person may want to accomplish in the next 6 to 12 months, one of the bigger priorities that DOS is working on right now is a strategic plan. And it's a strategic plan that really focuses on building culture and building a place for people to feel valued as they come into this workplace and provide services to people, right? We need people that are whole providing services to people. So I really see this person supporting the strategic plan, which really has goals that focus on supporting staff. But I also think they all play a pivotal role in continuing to build a workplace where people genuinely want to come to work. culture, communication, and staff support are really critical in these roles. And I'm looking for someone to help me strengthen and foster that and maybe come in with their new unique ideas on how to make that happen.
All right, thank you. And now let's touch on the ideal candidate profile. So this is actually one of the questions that was submitted to us. So the question is, what competencies, excuse me, does
Mhm.
DAS most hope the new assistant director brings from adjacent fields like child welfare or public health?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. And I'll be very specific to answer the question so that there aren't any questions after this webinar. I believe there are several competencies from fields like the child welfare department, child welfare, public health that translate extremely well into this role. I myself come from a public health background and am a registered dietitian by training. So I want to say that I think that those skills definitely apply. But what I'm specifically looking for is a person that can do systems level thinking. I want somebody to have the ability to understand how different programs, mandates, and partners connect and find ways to strengthen the coordination across those systems. And candidly, I think both leaders in welfare, in child welfare and public health bring a strong sense of how to navigate those complexities, navigate those multidisciplinary environments, and be able to successfully deliver on bridging those gaps. So I think that those things do definitely apply to this role. I want to definitely highlight that we are looking for an expertise in managing high stakes, legally driven programs. Um, this is a place in which, as I've mentioned, mandates the probate code, the welfare and institution code, mandate the way that we deliver services and to be able to be in compliance with those services while balancing high pressure is going to be a very desirable skill that we're looking for in a potential candidate. Relevant to that, change leadership. There's a lot of change that is happening across counties in all of California. And we're having to navigate that change in real time without having, quite honestly, as leaders, the ability to reflect on that change and to be able to sometimes even process that change ourselves. So, having somebody that is really centered and grounded, and has the ability to navigate people through change, leadership is going to be a skill set that will be very, very valuable. And finally, I'll just land on we have a deep commitment to equity and prevention in our county and in this agency and in this department. And it's something that's deeply embedded in things like child welfare and public health. And I think that they translate directly into our mission. So I want leaders, potential incumbents, to know that we have to center our vulnerable clients and think proactively and understand how we shape our services to empower those individuals and not dismantle those individuals. And that really happens through equity, and having that first and foremost in the work that we do and centered in the work that we do.
All right, thank you. And Kendra, do you want to take care of the
Yes.
next question?
Okay. Um, let's see here. So, Vanessa, you mentioned how important culture is. Can you take a moment to describe what the culture is in DOS? And if you could give just some feedback from your own personal experience in working in the department, that would be great.
Thank you, Kendra, for the question. I think the culture in DOS is, I would say, deeply mission driven. People come here because they really care about supporting older adults and adults with disabilities in community. That sense of purpose absolutely shows up in how these teams work together. and I see it happen on the floor as I walk our aisles to get to know the people that serve those individuals. So with that comes a strong commitment for compassion, empathy, accountability, and really doing right for the people that we serve. And so that is definitely a culture that you're either going to walk into or that I'm hoping that you continue to foster. And from my own experience, I just want to say that this department is filled with incredibly dedicated individuals. They're thoughtful professionals. They take pride in their work. I found that this place to be a place filled with friendships and quite honestly, love. I see that in the way that people express themselves across interactions, but also in the way that they celebrate each other. They're incredibly supportive, and I think that's an important part of what builds the culture here in DOS. But they're also really, really focused on problem solving and genuinely improving our system. And I see that in the way that they improve the work that we do day in and day out. And it is an evolving place. I will end in saying, and I mentioned before, change leadership is going to be a core component of what we need, a skill that we need for the individual, the incumbent that comes in here. But we are evolving. We're growing, which is exciting. With that, we're adapting, we're modernizing, and there's a real energy around shaping the future of these services in Santa Clara County. And so as we look at building another leader in this agency, we hope that they come to us with sort of these innate skills, but also some of these untangibles, where equity, empathy, mission driven, adaptability, um, uh, uh, growth mindset all align.
Great. Thank you so much. So, a question that we get asked about a lot in this day and age is, insight, in person work expectations. So, can you describe what the in person work expectations are for this position and how those expectations really support team leadership and service delivery?
Yeah. I'm a no nonsense kind of leader, so I'm just going to start by saying that we do have an in-person work expectation for this leadership team and for this role in particular. As the assistant director, being a consistent and reliable presence is really important, both for supporting staff and for staying closely connected to the work happening in our programs. I truly believe that. All that being said, I'm also thoughtful and flexible, and I recognize that life happens. I have a 5-year-old, I have a 7-year-old. It's a busy life. I completely understand that. And I think that I take my approach from the model of really trying to be balanced. And so through that balance, adaptable with hearing and managing changes to scheduling as needed. But by and large, we're a big department and we do appreciate the physical presence of our leadership, and nay, we think it's critical to change management, to fostering that deep mission-driven um, uh, drive that we have here at DOS. But we know that life happens, and so I'm very adaptable and flexible at the same time.
Great. Thank you so much. So those are all of the questions that we had prepared prior to this session. Um, I want to go through some additional information as it relates to the recruitment process, and then we have received some questions in the chat, and so I'll hand it over to Adrian after I give some logistical information. Um, so, regarding the recruitment process, this is a continuous recruitment, which basically means we will continue to have this recruitment posted until it is filled. With that being said, we do have an initial review date of all of our applications, and that will be occurring on Friday, May 8th. Process wise, applications that meet the employment standards will then undergo a competitive screening um, review, which will basically be screening all of the qualified applicants based on the desirable qualifications of this position. And this step in the recruitment process, the competitive review stage, will help us identify candidates who will then move forward to the interview stage and be invited to come in for a panel interview. After that step, we then hold final interviews. So currently, we have panel interviews tentatively scheduled for the week of June 1st. So that's the timeline that we're looking at right now. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and hand it back to Adrian so he can facilitate reading off some of the questions that we received in the Q&A.
All right. So we have a few questions here that I will read out loud. So I'm gonna try something new here. Answer live. I wonder what that would do. The answer. Okay, never mind. Didn't do anything. So okay, I'm just gonna read through it. So Vanessa, first question. So the role is described as a rare opportunity to modernize a complex, high impact system. So, what is the current strategic roadmap for this modernization, and what key performance indicators are currently in place to measure the success of improving outcomes and service equity with data?
I think what I would say around the strategic roadmap for this modernization, some of the need for this modernization was really driven by the growth in some of these program areas and the need for DOS to establish some more executive level roles within the department. And what I would say is the KPIs, key performance indicators. I think that I'm going to put this back on the incumbents. This is a new Bureau for Protective Services. KPIs do not exist. We do have programmatic KPIs. That being said, we have programmatic key performance indicators for APS, and we have them for the for PAGC. This incumbent is really, I'm looking for them to come in and be able to guide the development of these KPIs. I want to offer that we have a variety of outputs and dashboards that we're currently, that are already developed that we're looking to leverage to establish both abilities to track compliance. And then in a third iteration of that dashboard development, we would develop KPIs. So we have a process in place for this incumbent to be able to generate automatedly KPIs. But really, this is what I'm asking for this position to develop.
All right, makes sense. Thank you. So another question is, given the core responsibilities in overseeing legally mandated compliance-heavy services like LPS, conservatorship, and adult protective services regulations, what mechanism or technology are currently being used to ensure technical precision and accountability across these complex regulatory requirements?
Absolutely. Appreciate the question as well. So currently, APS uses a case management system that was developed by our technologies, services, and supports team, our TSS team. And it is a software that was developed to be able to capture all the compliance measures that we need to assess to be in compliance with the California Department of Social Services. So we use what is called ACE at APS at this current point in time. And on the PAGC side of the house, we use Pano, and we use a variety of other software for inventorying to be able to manage our compliance over on that side of the house. And can I just say,
Yep.
we need to do more. We need to develop things that are more innovative, that help our teams be able to do their work more efficiently. And we are able to do that through, for instance, ACE. We are currently in the process of developing an automated case assignment process that would be integrated into that software. So we have a robust technological systems and mechanisms in place to help support our programs to maintain their compliance, and we need to do more, which is the purpose of this role.
So, right. So another question is, the position requires extensive collaboration with partners like the courts, county council, and law enforcement. Can you describe the primary pain points or systemic challenges in the protective service ecosystem that this role
Mhm.
is expected to address immediately to strengthen interagency coordination?
I'm going to call out one specific thing, and I'd be curious to hear what the incumbents bring to an interview related to this. Scams have come up as a huge concern at APS, but scams aren't necessarily addressed through the PAGC, um, through the multidisciplinary team that we currently have in place that allows APS and PAGC to work together, which is the Financial Abuse and Specialist team. We need a place and a process for these scams to be addressed across the continuum of protective services. And right now, we don't necessarily have a process for that. And I think the incumbent will need to come in with some ideas on how to pretty quickly address the increase in scams that we are seeing in APS, knowing that we can't touch them all on the PAGC side of the house, but um, there's a system gap there.
Right, sounds like a great challenge. All right, so another question is, the mission includes leading a system grounded in compassion, accountability, and trauma-informed practice. So what is the current approach to supporting the resilience and emotional well-being of managers and teams who regularly handle high trauma APS and protective intervention cases?
Thank you very much for the question. And I think that this is critical because we're people providing services for some of our most vulnerable. And I'll start by saying macro level. The Social Services Agency is one of the first agencies in the county of Santa Clara to start to lead our strategic planning work around race equity. And as such, DOS has a departmental, three departmental goals that we're going to be activating in the very near future to be able to address this point. And that is, we are in a very, we're in a high trauma stakes place. And how do we continually address that when oftentimes the people that provide the services in our community oftentimes represent those individuals and might represent um, the community that is the Black, Indigenous, and people of color community. And so I think that as a system, we have to ground ourselves on a strategic plan that addresses racial equity and is the foundation of the work that we do. And so I want to just start there. And at the department level, more recently, we've been working with the Department of Family and Children's Services to put together some resources for our staff. We have a robust employee assistance program that we offer through Concern that is an offering for our staff, but we know that that is not enough. So DFCS and DOS are working on establishing some healing circles, and will provide an additional what I would say is like a list of resources that are available to our staff. I think we have a ways to go, and I'm looking forward to hearing what the incumbents' ideas are around supporting this work.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, second to the last question. So as a key advisor to the director, how is the strategic direction of the Protective Services Bureau integrated with the county's long-range planning for the entire aging and adult services landscape? And what major
Mhm.
policy initiatives are on the horizon?
I'm going to flip this question candidly, because I think what I would say is the strategic direction of the department leads the direction of the Protective Services Bureau and not the other way around. So I would say that the direction for the Department of Aging and Adult Services is one in which it identifies ways to continue to meet the needs of the community through our five core existing programs, but finds additional opportunities to intersect with the community, with health systems, with adult day services and beyond to continue to build on the fabric and the system of care for older adults and adults with disabilities so that no one falls through the cracks. And I think that we have a lot of opportunity to do that, especially with Senate Bill 1249, which allows us the opportunity to look at potentially becoming the area agency on aging. And as we launch into that um, more broader approach to providing aging services, I see that the Protective Services Bureau continuing to provide those protective services, but looking to actually working across our continuum to prevent people from ever needing those services. And that's how I really see us working together, is from the prevention standpoint. Knowing what we know as a Protective Services Bureau, how do we start to integrate prevention through through in-home supportive services, knowing that we touch 40,000 individuals through that program? How do we start to integrate prevention practices across senior nutrition, knowing that we touch 18,000 individuals and provide 1.9 million meals through that program? If we are the AAA and we become and we are the place for information and referral, how do we integrate upstream at the potentially the intake phase to prevent people from needing protective services? I mean, the goal is to reduce folks that enter into our services that are that don't that are in protective services and really support them through the prevention services. And I hope that that's helpful.
Right? Yeah, and then we're now going to jump to the very last question that was submitted. So, what external partnerships are most critical to success in this role?
Mm-hmm. I think more initially, the Behavioral Health Services Department. Think considering everything that's going on with the transition of the Mental Health Services Act to the Behavioral Health Services Act, we've always had deep alignment with that department anyway. I think that one of the more critical partnerships will be with that team. And then I'm gonna call out another county department which is unique, and I think will continue to really need to lean into that partnership, and that is custody health services. And then last but not least, I'll just say the Office of Supportive Housing.
Okay. All right, I think that pretty much concludes all Q&A questions that were submitted. So, and folks, for if there's any other additional questions that you feel like asking, may not be able to think about it at this time during this informational session, you're of course more than welcome to I'm just going to drop Kendra's email, right? kendra.conrad@esa.sccgov.org. All right. So, with that said, for my closing statement, so if you have, yeah. So if you have any additional questions, send it over to Kendra. Also, if you want to learn more about this role and many other executive leadership job opportunities with the county, I believe we have two SSA leadership recruitments that's ongoing right now as well. So if you'd like to learn more about them, go to www.sccjobs.org/exec recruitment. And also in here, you will also learn about county executive leadership experience and also our very generous executive leadership benefits package, such as our financial and retirement benefits, like our, of course, our famous CalPERS pension, deferred compensation program, county paid term life insurance, and also some of our executive level health and wellness and family support benefits and programs. Also, in addition to that, we do have like 39 days of annual leave that comes with cash out options, tuition reimbursements, and many other types of benefits that would ultimately, hopefully, justify why you should choose the County of Santa Clara for your next executive leadership position. And again, the website is www.sccjobs.org/exec recruitment. Also, we are all about improving these informational sessions. So if you found this conversation helpful or you have any ideas on how we can improve them in the future, please take the time to answer a quick survey that will be sent to you after this info session. So yeah, we can be better or improve our ways and be more, useful for you folks as you consider employment opportunities in the county. So, with that said, that pretty much wraps it up. Any parting words from Vanessa or Kendra?
Just deep gratitude to the 15 individuals that took time out of their day to log in and to listen more about the program and the department. And I'm looking forward to seeing what comes up from that.
I want to say thank you to the participants as well. And yes, please do reach out if you have any questions. And then thank you so much to Vanessa for joining us today and providing all of the valuable information that you did. Thank you. And thank you, Adrian, as well.
Of course. All right. So that concludes our process. Thank you. We saw an applause there, so thank you so much.
Thanks all. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you. All right. Take
Have
care.
a great day. Take care, everybody.